I'm Susan LeBlanc, and this is Conversations with the Goodman School of Business. My guest today is Professor Tanya Tang. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. And you are our 2017 Accounting Department Research Award winner. So congratulations on that. You've been recognized for the outstanding research that you've been doing in the accounting field. And we're going to talk a little bit today about one of your papers. And I'm going to freely admit, accounting is a topic that I'm not very well versed on. So you've got a very complex topic that we're going to try to help people to understand. But you did some research on the tax system in China and how if I'm going to get this right, but I'll get you to explain, how the government in China is also sometimes the key shareholder in a company, so they're effectively almost taxing themselves. Is that right?
Yeah, so it is a little bit complicated story. And before we go to that, let me give you a snapshot of my research area so that you can have like a general idea.
Right.
My research areas focus on taxation, capital markets, and corporate governance. Specifically, I'm interested in exploring how the setting of accounting standards and tax laws in different countries influence managers' reporting strategies, like reporting their booked profit and reporting tax and reporting the transfer pricing, etc.
Right.
I'm also interested in examining how managers respond to the regulatory environment, to what extent investors or regulators can detect the management mechanism and the role the government plays in curbing tax avoidance in an international setting. I consider managerial behaviors and government policy making a game of cat and mouse. And it's all about captures and escapes. The paper I recently published at Accounting Journal is entitled Tax Avoider or Tax Collector, in which we incorporate agency theory into tax avoidance. And this paper actually investigates how the intergovernmental agency conflict arising from tax sharing system affect the local government's tax enforcement and their trade-offs between tax collections and tax avoidance incentives. This is a very interesting topic because it is the first study that investigates tax avoidance behaviors from a government agency perspective.
Right.
When we talk about tax avoidance, we always think of taxpayers because we know that they are the ones who have strong incentive for tax avoidance.
Sure. Yeah.
For that reason, most tax literature examine the determinants of tax avoidance from a taxpayer's perspective.
Right.
In our paper, we take advantage of the unique setting in China in which the local governments serve as a tax agent to collect taxes on the one hand and controlling shareholders of those firms that are subject to tax payment on the other hand. So we address two research questions. The first one is if local government serve dual but conflicting roles as controlling shareholders of firms from which they collect taxes, would they encourage the control firms to avoid taxes? The second question is in which circumstance they would avoid more taxes. So our notion is that as a tax collector, local governments like to collect as many taxes as possible to raise its local fiscal revenue. If firms in their locality avoid taxes, that means their tax revenue is reduced. therefore, they will have no incentive to encourage their control firms to avoid taxes. However, as the controlling shareholders of those same firms, the local governments are the largest beneficiary of a high level of after-tax return. Therefore, they have a strong incentive to direct their control firms toward tax avoidance in order to maximize the after-tax returns under their control. The question of how the local governments balance these two opposite incentives is intriguing and unexplored, and which is also our research objectives.
Right.
Yeah, this is about the background.
Right. And so did you have any major findings from this?
Yes, what we find from this study is we find evidence that intergovernmental agency conflict created by the tax sharing system actually affect not only local government's tax enforcement, but also the tax avoidance behavior of the government control firms. The tax collectors can also be tax avoiders, and specifically, firms controlled by local government avoid more taxes if or when the local government's ownership percentage is higher than the tax sharing ratio. And these firms also avoid more taxes when the local government has larger fiscal deficit, which suggests that local governments expropriate central government's tax revenue to meet their financial needs through tax avoidance.
Right.
Yeah. So in conclusion, our study demonstrates that the tax sharing ratio and the local fiscal condition are important determinants of tax avoidance in government control firms.
Wow.
Yeah, which we believe is a largely overlooked perspective in tax literature.
Right. So you were looking at something that really hadn't been looked at before.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
So it's a fascinating topic. Thank you so much for coming by and telling us about it. And wish you all the best. And I know you have a lot more great research coming this way. So congratulations again on your award. And thank you for coming by.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and thank you for dropping by and listening, and hopefully we'll chat soon.